Right, hello everyone. So after a few discussions with many of you, it became evident that there's one exercise or a position that is quite challenging for many of you. And it is the exercises where you are meant to sit nice and upright onto your sit bones with your legs stretched out in front of you. So for those of you with the tight hamstrings, I normally ask you to take a block when you're in the classes, but when you're at home you can just use a pillow. So when you lift the hips, that actually release a bit of tension in the hip flexors, makes it a bit easier on the tight hamstrings for you to then stay in that position. But ideally you want to work with the body and help it to get more comfortable, stronger, more flexible, to feel comfortable in a seated upright posture. So not only is this good for posture, but also it'll make some of the exercises you do in Pilates. For instance, the spine twist is a seated upright position. The saw exercise is a seated upright position. And when we do our roll up and our roll down, you have that position that you work from and come back into. So one of the common things that normally is a inhibitor is tight hamstrings. So I'm going to ask you to get either a stretch band, a belt, a towel, anything that you can wrap around your feet to be able to stretch. So let's get ourselves into a lying down position. Wrap your, whatever you're using, wrap it around your left foot. And we are going to aim for a straight leg. So for some of you it does mean that you've got to let go of the leg slightly. Others might be able to bring it into a 90-degree angle. So let's just keep a nice straight leg wherever that position is for you. We're going to focus on pressing up into the heel, sink down into the hip, and then press into the back of the knee joint, flexing the ankle, so toes to nose, and keep that stretch, that isometric stretch here for at least 30 seconds. Now we're not going to hold it in this session for 30 seconds. Perhaps stop the clip and hold it there for 30 seconds. After you've held it there for 30 seconds, you're going to start bending the knee and then stretch the leg. Bend the knee and stretch the leg. Bend the knee and stretch the leg, and do that at least 10 times. Then to further this stretching of the hamstring, we then lengthen the opposite leg down to the floor. So you can feel immediately this is bringing tension, more tension into your hamstring muscle. And again, you want to hold it there for 30 seconds. And make sure you find a position that doesn't cause you agony. So when you stretch and you create too much tension, it actually does not achieve what you wanted to achieve. It just achieves a tension. The brain is resisting the movement because it thinks you are going to injure yourself. So therefore just release the leg slightly if that tension is too much for you or unbearable, because you want to keep the stretch so that you can feel relaxation in the muscle after a few seconds. So find that position. I can let go of my leg here slightly. And then you can do again, bend and stretch, bend and stretch, bend and stretch. Then roll it around a little bit. Do a bit of internal and external rotation, really getting every bit of the muscle fibers to get involved with the lengthening. And of course, if any of this is causing any discomfort in your lower spine, just bend your right knee. Okay. Now change it around. So the first thing you start with is the opposite leg is bent. When you start with a new leg, you are finding your stretch. So first find where your leg needs to be, then press up into the heel, drop down into the hip, the right hip, press into the back of the knee joint and flex the ankle, so toes to nose. Hold that stretch there and for 30 seconds until you can feel the muscle fibers. You're sort of releasing, breathing out into that stretch. Then you're going to do a bend and a stretch, a bend and a stretch, a bend and a stretch. Do that at least 10 times. Then lengthen that leg down to the floor. So you can see mine's quite tight here, so I should most probably hold it during the session. And again, release the leg slightly if there's too much tension in that stretch. So listen to the body, don't overstretch it. Especially if you're starting this on cold muscles. I would suggest that you do a little bit of a fast walk or a little jog. This is great to do after a run. And then keep that stretch there for a little bit. And then again go into the bend and the stretch, bend, stretch, bend, stretch at least 10 times. And then roll it a bit. Roll it in and out, in and out, in and out. So you can see lying down on your back, we take tension away from the lower spine, so you don't have to be in an upright seated position. This time, instead of your body being upright, your leg is upright. Great. Okay, after a few rolls in and out, then we are done with the lying down. You can just bend your knee and rock yourself up into a seated position. Okay, so this is where you have the option. You can sit on a block, or you can stay off a block. What we are going to look at is keeping the left leg nice and straight, but I want you to fold your opposite leg, your right leg. So your left leg is straight, your right leg is going to be folding away. Okay? So from here, you'll feel a nice stretch here on the inside of your inner thigh of your right leg. We keep this leg straight. And again, this time, keep the chest lifted. And then think of yourself folding from the hip joint. So we're not bending the spine. We're keeping the chest lifted. And we're just folding. Think of the belly button going towards the upper thigh. Fold in and unfold. And in and unfold. So it becomes a little bit more dynamic. Keep the toes pulling towards the nose. And we do this about 10 times. Now we bend the knee. And then we fold forwards. Now press the knee, press the heel down into the floor and then roll it. Keep on pressing down into the floor and roll it. Actually, I like this movement without the block. So remove the block and see if that works for you. Press the heel down and roll it. So this becomes more of a fascial release. So fascia, the soft tissue wrapping around the muscles. You've got 3 parts to your hamstrings, so it gets sticky in between those 3 parts with the fascia. This helps getting some movement between those parts of the muscles, different parts. Okay. And then just hold it there, a little isometric stretch for at least 30 seconds. And then release it. Brilliant. Then we're going to start and do exactly the same on the other side. So lying down onto your back, wrap the band around your right leg. Oh, sorry, what am I saying? You're sitting down, you're sitting on the block. This is a late Sunday night, so excuse me if I'm a little bit sleepy. Right, so now we're going to do that folding forwards and unfolding. Folding forwards and unfolding. Folding forwards and unfolding. So again, finding that position in the muscle where you can stretch, but you're not causing too much tension. And you're staying nice and tall. So you're teaching yourself, your back, to remain in an upright position when you fold forwards. And you can see sometimes for me this is a really stiff side, and I can't do as much on this side as on the other side. So just notice what your body is, what messages your body is giving you. Okay. Then you want to do your internal rotation on the opposite leg, and then again do that folding forwards and back, and you'll find that that is giving you quite strong feedback. You can hold this here for an isometric stretch. Just play around. I'm showing you more dynamic movements. I'm showing you isometric stretches, which is the holding it there. Keeping the chest lifted. Try not to bend the spine forwards. And take your time. Don't rush through this, because if you want your hamstrings to release, then it's going to take time. Remember, it's taken however many years you've been on earth for your hamstrings to get that tight. You've got to give it time to release. Okay, and also doing this once a week is not going to be enough. Most probably a little bit every day. So I'm going to remove the block and then bend the knee. Press the heel down. Lean forward, straight spine. Roll from side to side. Roll from side to side. Getting more into the fascia release here. Okay, and then letting go. Good. So again, isometric stretches, hold it there. The movement in and out, do about 10 of each, and listen to the body. Now the next exercise, you're going to need 2 socks. Just 2 little single socks you rolled up. You get yourself against a wall, because what we'll work on is your hip flexors. So remember, that's one of the muscles that's working quite strong in getting you in an upright posture like this. So this time you do need your legs straight. So if it's too much to have both legs straight, just release one and then we'll just work with the other one. Okay, so place socks on either side of the ankles in that position. Okay, now I'm going to keep both of my legs straight. You lift over one sock on the left, back into the center. Lift on the other sock, back into center. Let's do another 2 on each side. Lift, back, lift, back, lift, back, lift, and back. Oh, okay. So being against the wall forces you to stay nice and upright. So maybe if the sock is too high for you, just have a tiny, something tiny, or something, a line, draw a line, have a piece of paper there that you can just have a bit of a lift there, because it works quite strong. Remember, your hip flexors goes right deep into your hips. You've got to engage your pelvic floor muscles, close to camera shutters, and work on an exhalation. Okay, let's try the same on the other side. So place your socks or your piece of paper, or draw the line, whatever you can. Right, we're going to go to the inside, back into center. Relax those shoulders. I've just noticed mine got tense. Lift, oh, back into the middle. Lift, back into the middle. Lift, back into the middle. Lift, back into the middle. Remember your camera shutters. I'm going to just do one more because I did 4 on the other side. Whoa! Brilliant. Then you can finish this with a nice quadriceps stretch, front of the thighs, that gets into the hip flexors as well. So get yourself into the mermaid pose position with your feet pointing one direction and your knees pointing the other direction. So my knees are pointing right, my feet are pointing left. I'm sitting nice and tall, but I'm leaning over onto my right arm, grab a hold of my left ankle, lift the knee, and pull the knee back as far as I can. And then I roll my top hip forwards, lift my chest, and you've got a lovely stretch there in the front of your quadriceps into your hip flexors. And let's hold it here for a few seconds. Nice deep breaths into the side of your rib cage. You want to feel the thigh muscles releasing. You're aiming for heel towards your glutes. But remember, if you do have some form of arthritis or knee issues where the deep knee flexion does not work for you, then obviously just get as much of a stretch here as you can. Okay, after the next, we're going to come up with knees pointing left, feet pointing right. Lean onto your left, grab a hold of your ankles, lift the knee, pull it back, place it down, lift the chest, and then gently pull the heel towards the glute. Nice and slow and gentle. To stay aware, become aware of that minute that the muscle fibers is releasing. And remember what I said in the beginning of the session, overstretching is not what you are going for. Is you're finding a position where you can actually give that muscle a chance to let go. And this is my stiffer side. So if you find that there's a side that needs a little bit more time, and again, if you don't have a lot of time, just do one of these and do it for long enough. Don't try and rush through all of them. And you can always come back and do more. Repeat that stretch on each side. Great. So hamstring stretches, a little bit of upright seating and lifting the legs to strengthen up the hip flexors, and hopefully by the end of the month you will feel a little bit stronger. So watch out for the next session next week. We'll build on the same principles, getting the hamstrings nice and flexible, getting your core in upright extension a little bit stronger. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.